Hey, it's Brian with the Daily News Autos. This is the 2017 Jaguar XE. Now, this is Jag's first entry-level sports sedan since, we'll say, the ill-fated S-Type. And they've really tried hard with this one to make it a legitimate competitor to the likes of Mercedes, BMW, and Audi. It's got an aluminum architecture, it's got some great powertrain options, and I'd say it looks pretty good as well. So we're gonna take it out and shake it down and see if it really has the guts to compete or if it's just all for show. Now, exterior styling is sort of the introductory handshake of any car. If you don't like what you find on your first try, you're likely not going to pay attention for much longer. Luckily, the XE delivers by being both inoffensive and completely elegant at the same time. It's got a lot of clean lines and uses Jaguar's modern design language to cut a really distinct sports sedan profile. The front end is super aggressive. It does have almost a cat-like look to it and scowl like a predator. And with these 20-inch wheels on the R Sport package, this XE looks absolutely fantastic. It's got great proportions, a nice long hood. My only criticism is that it's a bit anonymous when placed next to the rest of its competition. And it looks a little bit too much like Jaguar's own XF sedan, which is definitely not a bad-looking car, but I wish they had done things a little more exciting on the outside. Now, as buttoned up and trimmed down as the exterior is, you'll find an interior to match. The XE's design is clean, simple, completely symmetrical, and perhaps a bit boring, but it should look good for years to come. There's a great design arc that sweeps all the way around from the top of the doors up to the front of the dashboard and back, and the center console is completely symmetrical left to right. All the buttons are laid out in a design that emphasizes function over form, and though their placement is a bit suspect on some of the controls, it's all pretty easy to understand and you can find yourself getting into ease of use of the XE very quickly. The new 10.2-inch infotainment screen dominates the center console and makes you look at it right away. The user interface is gorgeous looking on the inside. It's got a lot of bright colors and some interesting graphics, and they've given it a faster processor as well. But overall, I found it to be pretty glitchy over my week with the XE. The interior is a bit on the tighter side as well, especially in the back seat, where if the front passengers are about average size, rear seat passengers may find themselves a little bit tight in terms of legroom and headroom. Overall though, the XE is smartly packaged, elegantly designed, and is poised to age extremely well, perhaps better than some of its more extreme looking competitors. Arguably the best part about the XE is the driving experience. Jaguar put a lot of money into development of their new modular architecture, which actually uses aluminum instead of high-strength steel to get a tighter body and a lot stiffer chassis and frankly better handling. The steering is super direct, it's really nicely weighted. There's almost no twists or turns at all in the body itself, and frankly this is one of the best cars to drive in the corners, especially in rear-wheel drive, which comes standard. All-wheel drive is optional as well, but does add a little bit of weight. I'm more of a purist myself, so I like to feel the tail rotate a little bit, and this car is happy to do so. It's got a 3-liter supercharged V6 under the hood that makes 340 horsepower and about 332 pound-feet of torque. That's a whole lot of power, actually the same amount as the same engine in the F-Pace SUV itself. The only difference is this car weighs a couple thousand pounds less, which makes it, let's say, brisk. Acceleration is fantastic. From a standstill, it just absolutely gets going. The traction is fantastic, and it's one of the most enjoyable sports sedans to drive this side of the BMW 3 Series. So the XE blends some seriously good driving moves with a whole lot of style and that new, never-before-seen factor that luxury car buyers really like. It's got a lot to like about it, but I think in terms of tech savviness, the Audi A4 is still a little bit ahead, and the C-Class boasts a little bit more panache and sort of that elegance factor. The BMW 3 Series, too, is still pretty darn great to drive across the range. And as good as this thing is, I'm not quite so sure it's toppled the king from its throne yet. But overall, this Jag feels seriously special, and it's turned a lot more heads than a lot of its competitors will. So I think if my money were on the line, it would probably be the one that I'd have. Well, that's all for now. I'm Brian with the Daily News Autos, and we'll see you next time.